nutraceuticals, and we're here to share a dose of knowledge on what works, what won't. We'll entertain you and we'll show us innovative.
Hey everybody, Todd Runstead here from Next USA.
Devon I'm from Step Change Innovations.
And
we're the
Nutraceuticals.
We're so much better at that when we're together in person.
Oh my
look.
God, we're not sharing the screen. Oh, great. That's right. Yes, we're here in Cleveland. We're having a grand old time here by Lake Erie, home of the Lake Erie Monsters. I hear they got
Cleveland
renamed.
Monsters.
They got
Yes. They used to be the Lake Erie Monsters.
They went from the Lake Erie Monsters and the Cleveland Indians to the Cleveland Monsters.
And the Cleveland Guardians. Yes. Yeah. But the Browns are still intact for our loyal football fans.
The Browns are still down.
There.
That's right. Boy,
Yeah.
I mean, geez, should we talk about sports nutrition? No. Because what should we talk about today?
We are going to talk about what brands and CPGs look for in clinically efficacious doses of science-backed ingredients.
That's right. That's the game right there, right? What do women want? What do brands want?
Yeah.
When you are developing efficacious doses of clinically validated ingredients.
There's a lot of different things to consider.
There are. I mean, I think you would want to start with you always have to start with the audience. Who's your consumer? Mm-hmm. What do they want, right? And although there is what Steve Jobs said is the consumer, they don't know what they want until we give it to them, and with a crazy innovative guy like that, sure.
Considering we have some of his lovely devices right here.
That's right. Thanks, Steve. Cool stuff. Yeah. And, your ingredient suppliers, mission critical. You want to have good relationships. You want to make sure they're a quality company, that they're doing everything right. I know that there is this, as they say, the most important three things that people consider: price, and price. Not true.
There's also the old adage, you get what you pay for, and sometimes with supplements that is accurate.
That's right. Yeah, and so it's a tricky game to play, because then sometimes consumers might think, oh, if I'm paying more, then it must be better. And then other ones are just like, I just want to pay as cheap as I can get, and that's what I want.
And that even comes in with the dosage. Sometimes people will think that more is better and prefer to buy something that has a higher amount of an active ingredient over something that has less.
Right.
And
yeah,
that, as we talked about just last time with Sebastian, maybe that's not always the right thing to look at.
Yeah. I think you have to think about your story as your brand, and like who is your brand? Who are you? And then how do you meet the market, meet your consumer? Like where they are. Different brands have different stories, have different brand identities, mm-hmm. and they'll attract different consumers.
Absolutely. Some are more natural or clean label. Some are more plant-based and want to avoid animal products. Some may need to be kosher or halal and make sure there's ingredients that fit within those recommendations as well.
Yeah. But one thing that always kind of gets me is when a shopper has a headache and they go to the drugstore and they want to get their ibuprofen, their aspirin, their Advil, their Tylenol, whatever it is. They're not wondering, this says 500 milligrams of acetaminophen. Is this what I want? They're just like, no, take 2 aspirin and call me in the morning. And they're, they don't even question whether is this aspirin? Is there 500 milligrams in this? But that is kind of a little bit of a problem in supplements world, because there is that low barrier to entry and not everybody does the right thing.
That's true.
That's why we are here for you. We are here for you. Be better. Make good products. Yes, make stuff that works.
Please. we say a lot of crazy shit on this show, but we actually come from a very meaningful place with a lot of wisdom between us in this industry. So we've got some good things to say along with all the crazy dad jokes.
Yeah, that's right. I have to come up with one. Hold on.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
You don't have one right at the top of your head right now?
You know, a horse walks into the bar and the bartender says, "How's the home life?" And you know what the horse says?
Stable.
You know all my jokes. You've been reading my mail. Yes, that's right. So, who?
Get on that saddle, Todd.
Yeah. Who are who are we gonna talk to? We have a special guest today who's going to be
Yes.
digging in with
So
us, right?
I had the distinct pleasure of meeting with Spencer Lynn, who is the national sales manager of Supps. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
the American arm of Applied Nutrition. Fantastic follow on LinkedIn for any of our listeners out there. He is just an upstanding guy, and he loves to go to all the different vitamin shops. I think he's trying to hit 300 stores this year, 300 vitamin shops.
All right.
So he came to lovely Northeast Ohio, and we got together for a chat and talked about what it means for him, being behind Supps and using all of these ingredients that we're talking about.
Right. Cool. Well, let's dial him in and let's listen to see what he's got to say. This is going to be good, right?
Yeah, sounds great.
Hello, everyone. I am Devon Golam of the Dose Ingredient Podcast, and I am here with Spencer Lynn of Supps. Spencer, thank you so much for taking a few minutes to speak with me today.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So tell me about what it means to formulate with science-backed branded ingredients in Supps.
Yeah. So when we are doing our formulation, and there's a whole team of us on the product development team, we really do a great job working together. We like to dive deep into the science of the ingredients that we use, both the good and the bad. We want to see all the outcomes from the studies that ingredient suppliers have. We want to know how that can translate to the end customer. So it's really helpful when ingredient suppliers do a lot of their own marketing for their ingredients. The more well-known the ingredient is to the general population, the easier it is for us to market our own product to the general population. And it kind of helps everybody.
Absolutely. Agree with that. You are really good at using like the whole dose of an ingredient in your products. What sort of things do you look for when you're picking ingredients to formulate within your products? Are you looking for ease of use? Are you looking for taste? Are you looking for all that clinical validation? Tell me more about that.
Kind of the whole gambit of all that. So in our hydration product, we use PKTP from TSI Group, and it kind of hit the nail on right on the head for us in a lot of different aspects. So it has the science behind it. It was not too difficult to flavor. We got it at a good price point because that's important too, because we need the ingredients to fit our cost of goods so we can pass that favorable pricing along to the end customer.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of different areas that we look into before we're able to move forward with a patented ingredient.
And with Supps, obviously you are more sports nutrition oriented. What sort of health benefits are you looking for most from the ingredients that you're adding to your products?
Really output. So just ingredients that can help our customers with output in their performance. Whether they are somebody who plays maybe pickup basketball on the weekends, or they're a college athlete trying to make it to the professional level, just something that can help them work harder, easier.
And what's your favorite ingredient that you've worked with so far?
Oh, wow. That's a tough one. You definitely put me on the spot with that. I'm gonna have to say Pepti Strong in our creatine plus peptide product, just because that's such a cutting edge ingredient and it fits so well into adding it into creatine. So we're kind of marketing that as old school meets new school. So you have the old school creatine monohydrate that's been around forever. Everybody knows what creatine is. Everybody should be taking creatine. And we have new school, the Pepti Strong, literally an AI discovered ingredient that's been on the market for maybe a year or two now. So it just kind of seamlessly flows together. Old school meets new school. And that's a product that everybody can benefit from, whether you're an elderly person trying to hang on to your cognition as you age, or again, you're a college athlete really getting after it in the weight room, trying to increase strength and performance. Anybody can benefit from that product. So Pepti Strong from Veritas is probably right now top of mind, the coolest ingredient that we work with.
That's one I like a lot too. I've obviously talked about it on our podcast already. But you're tapping into an interesting thing here with like how the demographics are expanding. I mean, a lot of products, we're here on the Vitamin Shop right now. I probably shouldn't say that, but a lot of these products are geared towards, sports nutrition and people that, are really looking for, putting their best foot forward when they're out on the field or the court or whatever. But we're seeing so many of these ingredients play into healthy aging and longevity and just, average Joes like me living our best lives for as long as we can. Are there any do you see any specific trends with the products that you're selling and how that's reaching out to other demographics? Do you see any trends or specific ingredients like that coming up soon?
Well, it's interesting. Interesting that you say the difference between, just the average folks or like a hard training athlete. There really isn't that much of a difference whether you are an athlete that's actually playing a sport or you're just kind of like an athlete of life, just trying to age as best and as gracefully as you can. It's really not that much difference between those types of human bodies anyway. And you mentioned trends. We talked earlier off camera about creatine, and 15 years ago, creatine was stigmatized as going to ruin your kidneys, it's going to make your hair fall out, it's going to give you acne, mom and dad won't let you take it. Well, now, flash forward 15 years later, everybody's taking creatine. It's gaining a lot of popularity in the general population, which is great because there's a ton of health benefits of it outside of just building muscle and increasing endurance. There's a ton of research coming out on cognition and healthy aging with creatine. And that's one that can kind of bridge any gap. I truly think every human on earth should be taking creatine. So there's a lot of versatility in these sports nutrition ingredients.
Absolutely. One last question, because my friends Dave and Brad, my fellow bananas, they would be so disappointed if I did not bring up the wonderful co-branding you've done with Chiquita.
Yeah.
So tell us more about that.
Dave, I know you're going to watch this. Dave's a good friend of mine too. He loves bananas. If you guys are out there and you don't know Dave, Dave's the banana guy.
Oh yeah. He and Brad somehow welcomed me into this banana.
I don't know how it got started. So Dave, if you're watching this, please put down in the comments, how did the whole banana thing get started? I just know you hit me up on LinkedIn when we were starting to work with Chiquita, and it just kind of snowballed from there. So I don't know. Tell us how this got started in the comments. But yeah, so we worked with Chiquita on several different flavor collaborations. One was our hybrid protein and the Chiquita banana peanut butter and Chiquita banana chocolate flavors. And then in our hydration, our pre and our zero caffeine pre, we have a Chiquita pineapple strawberry flavor, because Chiquita does make pineapples too, obviously mostly well known for the bananas, but they do make pineapples. But specifically the banana proteins are out of this world. The Chiquita banana peanut butter is so good. I mean, banana and peanut butter is already one of my favorite snacks. So the fact that I can have it in a protein powder now is awesome. And it's gotten a lot of great feedback. It's one of our better sellers here at the Vitamin Shop, so we're really happy with that collaboration.
No, that's awesome. I've bought the banana protein. I haven't tried that, or the banana peanut butter, I should say.
Yeah,
I haven't tried that one yet, but love the chocolate banana. That's like almost a daily thing for me. And the hydration powders, out of this world. Very tasty.
Yeah, we worked with Chiquita on the flavor development. They're very particular that the banana has to be an actual banana flavor, not like a Laffy Taffy, not a candy banana. And then they were very particular that the pineapple has to be a natural pineapple juice flavor, not like a candy pineapple flavor.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's what makes them so good, because as I reviewed those products and posted about it on LinkedIn, I talked about how banana is such a hard flavor.
Yeah.
And actually, Michael Colangelo, and I hope I'm saying your name right, because I think that's the first time I've actually articulated it. New LinkedIn friend. He's always posting great information about flavors out there.
I've seen him.
He has different species of like Cavendish.
Really deep diving.
But there was some other banana varietal, and that's what like all the what we think of as fake flavors are patterned after. So fascinating stuff out there. Spencer, thank you so much for your time. Of course. Meeting you, and we'll go back to the studio with Tom.
Cool.
So we're back. My banana hat and all of the AN Supps products I have in my office.
I know. This is so interesting. Chiquita, the Chiquita bananas and dancing in the rain, right?
That's Pina Coladas.
Pina Coladas. Oh my God.
The Escape song by Rupert Holmes, and my mom insists that someday I'm going to win trivia for knowing that it's called the Escape song and not the Pina Colada song. So I did a shout out to your mom one podcast. I guess today I'm going to do a shout out to my mom. Moms are cool. Right? It's not even Mother's Day. Every day is Mother's Day, right? Yeah, so really interesting. I had no idea that Chiquita, and then they're playing, so it's like banana flavor, and then you see the little K, special K, that's the potassium in there.
So super interesting. Like, who knew that Chiquita was branching outside of bananas and pineapples?
Want to taste it?
Sure.
My two worlds are colliding. I get to taste stuff
Right.
with my buddy. Well, that's the chocolate one. That one I've opened, but this is so I told Spencer just last week that I had not had the banana peanut butter, so I'm going to take that one.
No, usually this is better in smoothies.
Just a little bit. I'm gonna try just a little bit. Ooh, the aroma of peanuts on this one. Yeah, you just try like a little.
Yeah.
Yeah, smell that.
I'll just put some in my spoon here.
Mmm. Oh, that is good. I like that one.
Oh, this is the banana, right?
That's a banana peanut butter, and that's banana chocolate.
Yeah, that banana.
Banana chocolate I've been using very regularly. This one I bought, I haven't tried yet.
Yum.
That's pretty good.
Right, yeah, I like that.
You want to try the Tang while you're here?
Tang.
Todd
Remember
was,
Tang?
Todd
I had Tang.
Todd was saying he has not seen Tang since he was a kid.
Right.
Try that one. It's
I,
delicious.
you know, I remember, you know, it's fashionable to say that like you don't really remember your life before like you were age 5. And I think that's because when you're 5, you go to kindergarten. Like, don't you remember your first day of school? I totally remember my first day of school.
I do not, but I do remember some things before I was 5.
Well, you know what I remember? I remember the man on the moon. And so I was like 4. I was like not even 4. That was like the summer of 69. I turned 4 in August of 69. It was the summer of 69. We're in Cleveland, babies. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Well, I think Neil Armstrong's from Ohio. 'Cause
Really?
We have like a NASA Glen Field or something out by the airport. Well, while Todd is tasting the Tang,
Tang.
I am
I seriously used to drink Tang all the time.
I am going to take the opportunity to point out that I think
That's Tang.
one of the take-home messages from talking with Spencer and looking at these Supps products is how important branding is. And it's not important, just from like a consumer perspective. Well, I guess it's important from a consumer perspective on 2 levels. Because one, like with the Chiquita and the Tang, you're going after, that flavor and like capitalizing in on, a known entity, like with
Right.
Tang, the nostalgia, right?
Right.
But when you're using the brand of a supplement ingredient, you're capitalizing on the marketing that has been done on that ingredient already, the science that's behind it. So, not all science-backed branded ingredients are equal. Not all branded ingredients are equal. But chances are, if you have an ingredient that is both science-backed and branded, that company has invested
Right.
in a very good way into that product.
Yeah. Ideally, that is the value proposition of branded ingredients, that clinically validated, that they've invested in intellectual property, the IP, and they have some marketing muscle behind them as well to help finished product brands. What you really want out of a good supplier is to have them be a partner with you and help you in the marketing and help you understand who your market is. And that's kind of, I think, happening more and more. Savvy suppliers are really trying to form, more partnerships and not just like, I'm your sales guy.
Yeah,
Thanks.
absolutely. Because we can mention brand names on our own podcast, right?
That's right. Yes, we can.
Well, one company, I mean, you guys do a great job, of course, but one company that really comes to mind for me, and this is Kiwahako. Shout out to my friend Karen Todd that works there.
Karen.
Yes, I love
She's
Karen.
like a Michigander, right? That's right over here.
She splits between Saugatuck, Michigan, and
And
I
Joyce?
think Austin.
In Austin, is that
Texas.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, but she's up in Michigan, I believe, right now. But yeah, Kiwahako like has their own marketing machine basically.
Yeah.
Like they have like a whole kit, that has like the logos, the claims, everything you can say, what you can't say. They have websites dedicated to each brand that list all the different products that contain that. So,
Yeah.
contain that ingredient. So like if you go to Cognizant's website and look up ingredients that or products that have Cognizant, that's huge for a consumer because if they see it, something in like a product like this and they see Cognizant and they,
Yeah.
get
Oh, what does that
benefits
thing-
from it
yeah.
and they like it, they're more likely to buy another product that also has it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but Kiwahako also has very good science behind all their ingredients
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
So
And so Cognizant actually, for the cognition, And I like what Spencer was saying. If you're an athlete of life, an
Yes.
athlete in life,
Yes,
I love that.
I love that too.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, that's much better than the average Joe thing I was saying, which I only say because I
Right.
work with two Joes here. But
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Joe Bradley. Yeah. Somewhere between average Joe and weekend warrior, there's the athlete of life. It's like you're not just being a weekend warrior like an athlete for the weekend, but it's like every day. Got to get through the day. You got to be the office slob and
Yeah.
the post lunch dip. We had lunch. I'm not dipping because
Neither am I.
I'm just fired up. I'm fired up and ready to go.
Because we had our A and Supps here. But no, I love that he said that though, because people who know me and have been watching the podcast know that I'm GLP-1s, and I'm obviously not like an Olympic athlete. I'm definitely in the athlete of life category. But A and Supps products, at least the proteins, still very much appeal to me as someone who's watching how much protein she gets.
Wait, did you just
So-
say appeal to me?
That was not on purpose, but there's probably a couple people out there, Brad and Dave, that will very much appreciate that pun.
Right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. It's a slippery slope.
We're a crazy bunch.
Yeah. Oh my God! Nothing gets past me here. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised the world has not imploded yet with you and I within the same 10 miles in the last 24 hours.
Right. It might have. There might be a new Great Lake that is being developed right now, right at our doors. I'm not quite sure.
Four-dimensional.
Four-dimensional. That's right.
4D.
We are the 4D. It's our new tagline. I love that.
Now, there's so many different things that companies look for and brands look for in ingredients, though. Like, Spencer talked about, cost, taste, what the benefits and things like that. But you were looking at ChatGPT a little while ago, and it had a pretty expansive list of all the things that
Right.
people
Yeah.
look
It
for as
came up
well.
with that in a hot second. Regulatorily compliant. You want brands to have studies, and if they do studies well, then that gives you, as a finished product brand, claims that you
Yes.
can then run with.
Yes,
And
very
so,
clear claim substantiation.
yeah, that is so critical.
Quality.
Quality.
Quality was important.
Yes. I'll never forget Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. That book was all about quality. You didn't read it. She didn't read it. Put it on your list, kids. Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, and it wasn't really about the motorcycle. It was about quality. And what is this thing
Was it
called?
about
Quality.
Harley Davidsons?
No, it was about
Okay.
quality. It was about like fixing the bike, and you want it to to perform well, and so and it's just a metaphor. The bike is just a metaphor. It's not about the bike. It's about the quality, and that's really what you want to do. And what is a supplement but a bunch of ingredients inside of a delivery format, right?
Yep.
And so your ingredient suppliers are very, very important for you.
Absolutely.
And so you want them to have good science. I know I've tooted my own horn before, but this is like the deal of the year, certainly for us. And this is huge news. Is Tylenol, Kenvue, they came, the acetaminophen people, Tylenol, they came out with their first supplement product ever, and they chose the Next USA Tamiflex. Thank you, golf clap. Well done. And the reason that they did was they loved the claim of 5 days to relief, but it wasn't just that claim was made. It was the depth of the claim,
Yes.
and we have what we call our 4 pillars of validation, which is it's patient assessments, like filling out a questionnaire, like, oh yeah, that made me feel better. And then there's physician validation, which is like the doctor's like, I'm checking you out, and I could tell, yes, I could see that, like more flexion in the joints. Yeah, that's validation. And then biomarker testing. So we're actually seeing like, interleukin, lutein 6 or CRP, like inflammatory
Yeah, I was gonna
markers.
say measures of information are decreasing.
Yeah, these are decreasing. Oh, so that shows me something's working. And then there's actual physical tests, like a 6-minute walking test or a chair test. Oh, can you get up? Can you get up and go? Can you go longer? Can you go faster? And so all of those things combined, they're like, wow, that's an excellent study,
No, very comprehensive.
Yeah, yeah. And that's what attracts these major brands, like billion-dollar brands that are
Yeah.
like, oh, maybe we should get into this, fast growth supplement world. What supplier should we work with?
Yeah.
And so
Next is a company that, and I'm not saying this just because you're sitting here with me and you're my friend.
no,
but,
it's true.
You know, I've admired the science that Next does even before you ended up there.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
no,
yeah.
good stuff.
So many studies just fall short. Like they don't even take like baseline levels, And when you're talking studies with nutrients, with like vitamins and stuff like that, it's like, well, you might be taking in certain levels of that just in general. So what's your baseline level? Because usually what you find is if your baseline levels are really low, then you supplement. Wow, you're going to get a better effect. Tends to be the way it works.
Yep.
So so you want to know these things, and then you want to have multiple studies
Yep.
and from different researchers that
Yes,
they've
to
validated
show that
each.
they're repeatable.
Yeah, repeatable. So all these things you want scientific validation, you want quality, you want to see the chain of custody, as it goes through, that it's all that it's been tested at every step
Yeah.
along the way.
So I'm sure they're looking at all of your quality documentation. They're looking at your C of A's. They want to make sure that, what you said was in the product when you did all that testing matches what's in the C of A. So they know that they're putting the right amount in there.
Right.
So-
Right. Yeah, because you don't want you want the customer, you want the shopper to buy a supplement with the same mindset when they're buying Tylenol. That it's like, oh yeah, I know I'm going to pop 2 of these and I'm going to feel better in the morning, and I'm not even questioning like, oh, am I supposed to have 500 milligrams? Oh yeah, 500 milligrams. That's supposed to be the dose. Am I sure that there's 500 milligrams in this? I mean, it says it is, but is it really and which is like for the inside baseball people in the ingredients world, in the supplements world, you have to be mindful of that because, sometimes you get what you pay for, right?
Absolutely. We've talked about, I know we talked about standardization yet on this show, but
Let's talk about standardization.
Standardization. So ashwagandha is always a popular example that we
Right.
talk about, right? So there are some that like KSM 66 started
Right.
out at 600 milligrams. They've done,
Yeah, 300
studies
twice a
saying
day,
that
right.
you can do, 125 twice a day or 250 once a day. But if you look at like Shodan, for instance, it's like they're down to like 60 or 100 milligrams, but that's because
Right.
the withanolides are so much more concentrated in the Shodan than they are in the KSM 66. So we don't really have, I mean, there
Right.
is some USP, recommendations for some things, but there's a lot of ingredients out there, especially the botanicals that like the company may standardize their product to a certain level of the active, like a certain amount of anthocyanins or polyphenols or something like that, but they're not consistent between companies. It's consistent
Right.
for their product, but not between companies.
Right.
So that can lead to different amounts that you would need in the product to be efficacious,
Right.
which could lead to consumer confusion if you're looking at 2 different products with 2 different
Could.
doses and wondering
Right.
what's going on.
Absolutely does,
Yeah.
And that is such a challenge. And it's a challenge for the supplement brands you need to educate your consumer. We talked, a previous episode with Sebastian Balcom at Specnova with the liposomes, not liposomes, liposomes. Different thing entirely.
Am I sitting next to Todd Runstead or Mick Jagger? I'm not quite sure.
Orlando Bloom or Johnny Depp.
You gotta get your British accent on for
Right.
Orlando Bloom.
Bloody well right.
Now he really is turning into Mick Jagger, ladies and gentlemen. You just gotta get
I
that.
would be
get
happy
that
to be Mick
chicken,
Jagger.
chicken strut,
Right?
The rooster dance.
He's
That's what
like
they call it.
80 and
The
he's
rooster
like
dance.
he's cackling at age
Start me
80,
up.
right?
Yeah.
Look at
I
those
can't-
lips on that woman right there, ladies and gentlemen. I saw that.
Yeah, I got a lot of strange
Yes.
things on myself to look at.
That's
Thank
right.
you.
She's got liposomes right in between the chin and nose right there. But so that's definitely a challenge of the supplement industry. And so you as a finished product brand, you want to work with your ingredient supplier to like find out like, okay, what is that clinically validated dose that you have, and we can use that. And then it's up to you as the brand to communicate that to the consumer, which can be a trick if you're using some ingredient that say has some like bioavailability enhancing technology to it that that means you could use a lesser dose, which you like because then it costs less money, even though you might be paying a little more for the technology. But then you have to communicate that to the consumer. If you're in a situation where the consumer knows, like, oh yeah, I know I'm supposed to take 3 grams of creatine, 3 to 5 grams of creatine a day, or whatever it is. But with the ashwagandha, it's like it's a little all over the map with all these branded ingredients because they're standardizing it to the withanides.
And then with the one that Specnova makes, the Nuganda, you can take even less because
Right.
the liposome is improving the bioavailability.
Right,
So,
right. So
Yeah.
yeah, all very tricky.
yes,
Um,
absolutely.
So that provides. I mean, the sort of the good news is that provides for innovation. It provides for differentiation. It provides for different companies getting into the market and finding their niche and grabbing their share of market share, which is what you want,
For
right?
sure, but it's why it's so important, at least from a formulation perspective. I love it when the companies are doing the science on their specific ingredient. There's certain things like creatine, for instance, you can rely on
Yeah.
borrowed science, and that's fine because it's been studied
Yeah,
forever.
it's all monohydrate, right?
Yeah, but if you're looking at ashwagandha or maybe like a elderberry extract, with the different anthocyanins, if you're looking at borrowed science, you really need to dig into, okay, what was the dosage, but then what was the concentration of the anthocyanins in there?
Right.
So, you have to be really careful about how you're building a dossier to substantiate your science if the science has not been done on that specific ingredient.
Right. Yeah, and this so rarely that I could almost say it almost never happens, but it should happen more, is the finished product brands. Why don't
Yes.
you do a clinical trial
Yes.
on your finished product?
There's so few of them. Like Nutrafol is one that comes to mind that
Yeah.
they have actually done studies on the finished product. And, I see a few of them come out more and more, but I wish it was easier to do clinical trials, especially on the finished products. They're expensive. And that's why
Right.
a lot of times the ingredient companies, when they actually invest in it, the brands are using that.
Right.
So they don't necessarily have to run their own.
Yeah, right. Yeah, if you think of the whole value chain from the retailers, manufacturers, like ingredient suppliers, like all the way down the line, I think like the least profitable part of the business is the hardest working companies, which is the ingredient suppliers, because they're the ones who are doing all the research. They're the ones who are dropping a healthy 6 figures on a clinical trial. It's like the finished product brands aren't doing that, but the ingredient suppliers are, and
But that's one way that ingredient suppliers can charge a premium for their product because they've actually done the science to prove that it
yeah,
works.
yeah.
So-
And then you run into price, and
Yeah.
and those companies, and it's like, look, I get it. Everyone wants a free lunch, but
Yeah.
also
You
like
still get what you
put
pay for.
put together a quality ingredient, Phaedrus. Zen in the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. He was the guy who Robert Persig was talking to, and he said the whole time about quality. So quality is super important. That's really what you want, because if you have a quality product that it works and it brings more health to more people, guess what? You probably, the first bottle that you sell, you're not making any money on, because you're spending so much money on marketing to get that first buy.
Yeah.
But then if the product works, then you might just get a customer for life.
Yes.
And
100%.
that's when you're really successful. But you're not going to, but that's great about, ingredients that work, finished products that work, the experiential part. And which is a trick for a lot of supplements, because supplements, they're known for being these sort of slow and steady, effective things that will just kind of shift you to a healthier space.
Absolutely.
It's not like a fast acting pharmaceutical where it's like you take it and all of a sudden, bam, I took a probiotic and like the next day.
I notice that in
10
my
times
own
better.
life. I notice it more if I stop a supplement versus starting it, because the impact was so gradual that I didn't
Yeah.
really immediately feel better. But boy, I noticed it when I stopped. So,
Yeah, right.
yeah, it's interesting.
Right.
There clearly is a lot to consider when you're looking at these science-backed branded ingredients, and we harp on clinically efficacious doses of science-backed ingredients, and this is why. There's a lot to consider, and we just want people to make good products.
That's right. Yeah. So find a good ingredient supplier, have a good relationship,
Make sure they are up on all their quality documentation and inspections. Make sure they are communicating to you. Make sure their science is good.
Yeah.
All the better if they have their own marketing machine, but okay if they don't. I mean, if I had to, if I had to pick one thing that was the most important, it would be the science and knowing, knowing that those claims are validated and knowing what supplement I can put that ingredient into where it will still be active.
Right. Right.
That's more important than anything else. But,
Yeah, because that's kind of the baseline, right?
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
you got to have that.
Yeah.
So,
and thankfully we do have a lot of wonderful suppliers in the industry that hold themselves to a high standard.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. On that note, I will say that I ran for the mayor of Boulder back in the 90s, and my campaign slogan was, "I'm upping my standards, now up yours." I predated Donald Trump in my aggressive flipping off of the electorate, and I didn't win. It's a kinder town there in Boulder, but I had a lot of fun running anyway. So standards are important.
I think you probably should have held yourself to a higher standard with that campaign slogan, but that's okay. It made for a really amusing story today.
Yes. And so all good stuff. Good finished product brands. I didn't even know Tang was still around anymore.
Oh yeah.
I guess the Moon is still there.
I think they have a RTD that's flavored too, maybe under a slightly different brand, but still Applied Nutrition. So, but Spencer, thank you so much for coming to Cleveland and saying hi and taking time to talk with me and us about how important it is for you as a brand to hold yourself to high standards with the ingredients that you use. We appreciate it.
Yep. And that's it for this episode of The Dose.
Yes. We are the Nutraceuticals.
That's right. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
We are the new